Hey, Sal.
You know, a lot of people come to the United States from other countries to go hiking or camping. Oftentimes they'll want to see the big deal
Right.
places like Yellowstone or Yosemite. I don't know what other parks they go to. And I don't want things to get overcrowded, but I would suggest trekking to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that I've been to a lot of the parks in the United States, and I've done a lot of hiking and camping. And honestly, the Pacific Northwest nature areas are some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
They really are. The Oregon coast actually has some fantastic stuff, and we've kind of started at the north of Oregon and gone south, and we're 2/3 of the way south, and now it's taking, instead of a 2-hour drive, it's 3.5 or 4 hours to get where we want to go. But the last place we went was Neskowin Beach, and what we wanted to see was the Neskowin Ancient Ghost Forest. So
It
you're
sounds
like,
so
what is
mysterious.
that? Yeah, it is a forest that was destroyed a couple thousand years ago, and so now there are trees. I mean, some of them are huge, massive, round, and they're 3 or 4 feet high, and others are just round 12-inch trunks that they're sticking up probably 4 to 6 feet, and they're at the water line, right on the ocean. So when the high tide is there, you can barely tell they're there, and at low tide, you can really see them. You can kind of walk through them. So we picked a low tide and went to visit.
And we were able to get some really amazing photos.
Yeah.
It's, there's all these rivers that run into the ocean in the Pacific Northwest. So accessing some locations, you have to ford a river,
Right.
which was no big deal.
Right. Fording a river might be a little extreme.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it was probably 18 inches deep at the deepest, and I was wearing shorts. I just took my shoes and socks off, and because it's summertime, the water really wasn't that cold. We tried it. We saw it last winter. Water was freezing. So, when it's 46 degrees out, it's a little different than when it's 70 degrees walking through the water. So.
This beach is pretty sweet. It's got some really interesting features. This time when we were there, there was a giant driftwood. There's Pacific Northwest has a lot of driftwood. There's a lot of huge, really, they're just trees that are driftwood that wash up on the beaches. And this time there was it looked like a monster, like an alien monster out in the surf.
Yeah, a couple
and
of branches were
fun.
down, and then the trunk. And when she said trees, I mean, you do have this. You also have this. I mean, massive trees,
Right.
20 feet around, and they're just driftwood.
Right.
Olympic National Park has a lot of that too.
Right.
And you have to get in some of the beaches. You have to cross this stuff. So.
When we were exploring this area, we walked on a little trail, and there was a sign that said Oregon Coast Trail, and who knew? Apparently there's an Oregon Coast Trail, which we will have to discover more possibly next summer.
Right.
Maybe not this year because it's already nearly August, and we both are quite busy.
But I mean, the Pacific Crest Trail, I mean, Mexico to Canada goes right through Oregon, so there's that trail, and there's also a coast trail.
Great. That sounds really exciting. The campsites in Oregon and Washington State are the most beautiful campsites you can imagine. Lots of big, tall trees, tons of ferns, lots of shade, which is really nice.
It's nice to have shade.
They do a really good job making the nature areas, we'll call them, accessible.
Yeah.
The trails are well maintained. There's often bathrooms. Sometimes there's toilet paper. The excitement of having a bathroom with toilet paper, but if you've been out in the wilderness a bit, having a bathroom at all is a big deal. Having a bathroom with toilet paper is amazing.
So we spent at least an hour, probably closer to 2, walking through the forest. I mean, you walk to the other end of the beach. It's at least a half a mile from the river to the end. And, you know, there's a Seastack sitting there, and then you have the mountain range coming down that kind of makes you, that's the end of the beach there. You have to cross that mountain range to the next beach. And so we were, just walking through this, and it was early in the morning, because that low tide was at 6 or 7 a.m., I don't remember which, but so we wanted to get out there early, and it was amazing.
A Seastack is like a giant rock.
Right.
It's right on the edge of the coast, or I guess it could be out there a bit, but it's just a big rock that has, a lot of the time they have trees.
Oh yeah.
In this instance, we were super lucky because there was a bald eagle.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, which for people from other countries may not think too much about that, but that's our national bird. And they're very prevalent in the Pacific Northwest. However, we're from California, and there's some, but there's not so many.
Right.
It's always a big treat to see them, I think.
It is, yeah. They are very pretty. You know, they got the white head flying, and so yeah, it was really cool to see that. Yeah, they're big. They're predators. I mean, they will, go after small game and fish a lot is what they do.
Yeah, salmon is their number one food source, so that's very exciting. What else did we do when we were out there? We stayed in Lincoln
City. Yeah, that's right. Because it's Neskowin is just north of Lincoln City and south of Pacific City, and Lincoln City is much bigger, so it was easier to find a place to stay there.
Summers are spendy. We were able to get a good value on our room because we stayed at a casino.
Right.
Which is not our normal thing.
Yeah, and not really recommended. I mean, they pack you in. It's a very small room, but it was cheap. You know, instead of spending $200 a night, I think we spent 80.
100.
100. Okay, so
maybe 120.
Yeah, if you can go through the week, it's much cheaper. It's half the price. But on the weekends, because that's where people go out, and it was more expensive.
And what else did we do that weekend? We saw a lot of stuff. We were super busy. I guess we just kept driving south, on the highway.
We went to Devil's Churn, which, because it wasn't stormy, wasn't churning so much. We saw Thor's Well, which was really cool. There was a blowhole that wasn't quite blowing. Again, when it's stormy, it blows up. And then Thor's Well, it's 10 feet across, and the water sinks down 10, 12 feet, and then the wave crashes and it comes flowing over the sides. Again, when it's stormy, it'll come shooting out of there. But it's really cool. When the water subsides, it's like, icicles of just water running down through the mussels. So that was really cool to see.
There's a lighthouse out there that we visited. We hiked up a little hike off of one of the beaches to see
Heceta Lighthouse.
There's a bed and breakfast there.
Right, yeah.
And a gift shop. The gift shop had a lot of cute stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty affordable.
And it's a nice, it was half a mile out, walk out to the lighthouse. So very easy hike.
Yeah. And we saw some really cool bridges. They've got some old steel bridges, a lot of old steel bridges throughout the Pacific Northwest. They're really fun to drive over and really interesting to look at. Old-timey.
Newport had it, just this, it was huge for one thing, but it was definitely really cool. And you're looking over into a really large harbor. Newport's a pretty big city. It's, as far as, you have Lincoln City and then Newport's the next one south. So it was a really fun weekend.
Now we drove out from the Portland area and we took you can take a lot of back roads.
Right.
To get to where you're going here. You don't always have to take highways. So that worked out really nice.
Google Maps is really good, and even if you know where you're going, sometimes traffic this, traffic that, so it'll take you the best route. And we've gone through some little towns on the way over, and it is really cool to see that.
Oregon has a fairly substantial wine industry in the Willamette Valley, which I wasn't aware of.
Right.
There are a lot of wineries, and that would be something fun to do at some point.
Yeah, they have Willamette Valley wine tours, and lots of wine, and they're good. I'm not exactly a connoisseur, but I do appreciate a good wine. I can tell good from bad.
I guess they're famous for their Pinot Noir.
Oh, okay.
So it's a similar climate to what they have in central coastal California.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's something to look forward to.
Yes.
I hope that I have the opportunity to explore all of the Pacific Northwest, but particularly the coast, because it is really delightful.
Yeah.
It has so much going on. There's so much to see. The weather is great.
Well, our next trip is going to be to Timberline and Zigzag Canyon, so you'll be hearing about that next.
Oh, okay.
So see, I'm a beach person. Sally's a mountain girl. She likes the mountains. Not that she doesn't like the beach,
Right.
but given the choice, she likes the mountains. Given the choice, I love the mountains. I prefer the beach, so just how it is. So we mix it up, and next time we'll show you some Timberline and Zigzag Canyon, which I hear is fantastic.
So I didn't know we were doing that, but I'm excited now.
Oh,
I can
yes.
hardly wait. I'm going to have to look it up on the internet and see
Yeah.
where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because Timberline's halfway up Mount Hood. I mean,
Oh, we're
you
close.
Yeah, you get to drive halfway up. It's not actually true, but it is on the side of Mount Hood. It's a big ski resort. But in the summertime, you can see you can actually hike a couple of miles before hitting a lot of the, glacial snow that's on Mount Hood year round. So you can hike up, 8,000 or 9,000 feet before you really get technical.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
great. I'm really
I
looking
probably
forward to that.
exaggerated the 8,000 or 9,000. I think it's more like 75. So
That's okay.
'cause
I
the
mean,
mountain's only 10 something. Yeah.
all right. Well, this was a good chat. Thanks,
Yes.
Brad.
Thanks, Sal. And please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you on the next video.